Hello, my name's Clare from Conscious Chemo. Welcome to this reflection on something that I think really helped me in the early stages. So during my triple test last August, after finding a lump in my breast, I could tell that the ultrasound technician had seen something. And in fact, I asked a few questions and she said twice she was worried. So I left feeling like I'd already been told I had cancer, even though I hadn't. I then had another 2 weeks to wait for my results. And for the first 3 days, my mind was racing off. My mouth went dry. Yes, there was the shock. There was some fear. There was these limiting beliefs. You're never going to be able to get a boyfriend again because you're only going to have one boob. And how are you going to tell the kids? And, your life's going to change forever. That's it. All those normal responses that our minds will run off to. However, being on the path of, having a regular yoga practice, I know that that's my ego running away and that those things aren't real. So I noticed those thoughts, and it took 3 days, and then I managed to come back to center. And then what I did was I put my energy into positive things. So rather than spending 2 weeks feeling fearful, feeling scared, worrying about what was to come, I actually started detoxing from that moment to prepare myself in case I did have cancer. I did also convince myself that I wasn't going to have it, because I think that's being like me, trying to be positive. But I also prepared myself in case I did. So I started detoxing, so taking all processed foods, added sugar, takeaways out of my diet, lots of fruit and vegetables. Not sure if I think I probably did start juicing at that point. But also I made sure I read lots of positive stories about people that had overcome their cancer naturally. I was deciding whether or not I'd go down the natural path. I was probably planning to do a 90-day complete cleanse and then see if I then had medical intervention or not. But just absorbing myself in those kind of books and websites where it was giving me a sense of personal power, then made me feel really prepared when I went in. I also wrote down a lot of questions that I wanted to ask. So I was really prepared going in to get my results. And I did a yoga practice the morning before getting my results. And at the end of it, I asked in my meditation, what do you want me to know today? And the response was, I am with you. So when the response comes up and it's present moment, that usually is your inner guide. And it was interesting that it wasn't, it's going to be okay, you haven't got cancer. It was, I am with you. So I guess deep down, I kind of knew that I was going to have cancer, but my ego was convincing myself I didn't. So it wasn't a shock when I was told that I did have it. I'm really pleased that I asked the questions I wanted to ask. My younger self wouldn't have had the balls. I wouldn't have had the guts to ask if I could record it. So I'm really pleased I did. And I've played that recording back, and I did ask lots of questions. I would highly recommend you do the same. You want to get as much information as you can about your type, about the recommended treatment protocol. Is it hormone positive? If so, which hormones? Mine was estrogen and progesterone positive. Is it HER2 positive or not? Obviously they're going to probably tell you, but what stage is it, and also what grade it is. That's different. The stage is the 1 and 2 are normally localized, 3 into the lymph nodes, 4 is beyond the lymph nodes. 1, 2, and 3 are classified as early stage cancers, although of course that's graded stage higher. Mine was a stage 3. I had to have a lot more tests to get my final diagnosis, and I did find that challenging. Like every time I went for results, I had to get more tests and more results, so it took about a month to get a final diagnosis. But I going into those to get those results, I felt quite calm and I felt quite balanced, and I'm really grateful now looking back that I was able to be centered and ask the questions I wanted to ask, to then go away and do my own research and then make my decision as to what treatment I then embarked on. I was all gung-ho for doing 90 days of natural, but actually as the tests unfolded, I could feel the lump was growing, and it went into more lymph nodes during my tests. I could feel that. and I actually saw my ultrasound, and I could see it was quite an angry, I could see it was a black angry lump. So really, again, I did another meditation and checked in, and it was coming up to just have a round at a time and see how I got on, which is what I did. So I've not had all the medical treatment that they would normally give. I've had a lot of it, and I've listened to my body and I've supported myself loads. But I think the preparation that I made going in to get my results really helped me to drop the fear and approach it reasonably practically. And knowing, I think I already knew because of the ultrasound. If I hadn't have had that experience from the ultrasound, I don't think I would have gone in as prepared and as balanced as I did. So I guess what I'm sharing here is that if you are feeling worried or anxious about waiting for results, put your mind into positive things that will support you if you do get the news you don't want. And if you get the great news, brilliant. All you've done is, so you're not worrying for 2 weeks, you're not anxious for 2 weeks, you're not stressing for 2 weeks. That's only going to make things worse. So you can either distract yourself with positive things, going out for walks, spending time with friends, or start planning so that you can be fully prepared for the journey ahead if it's not the news that you're hoping for. And know that there is always something you can do. You're not at the mercy of anybody or any institution. So, start reading books that inspire you, that empower you, that give you a feeling of being able to take some inspired, positive action, which you always can. Mindset, I think, is if you're going to say one thing's more important than the other, I'd say your mindset's more important than your diet. They're inextricably linked, but I think if you've got a really good mindset, you're naturally going to have a good diet anyway. The mind is huge, and you're in charge of that, and there's so much you can do. So I hope you found this inspiring in some way or helpful in some way. Hoping you get the news you want, and wishing you all the very best. Sending loads of love, Claire from Conscious Chemo.